Hello crafty friends, welcome to day 23 of Die Cut December 2024. Today I'll be using these dies to create a sympathy card for you. I'll also be following this sketch that I created. Feel free to take a screenshot now if you'd like to keep a copy for yourself. You'll notice on the sketch I've got 3 squares and all those squares are the same size, but I decided to change things up a bit and I used 1 large square and 2 small squares. I also decided to include a flower die cut in my card, so I cut all those pieces out of smooth white card to get them ready for a bit of inking and heat embossing. Next I took a stitched rectangle panel and die cut a small portion of it using the stitched rectangle die so that this portion that I was die cutting would have stitching all the way around it. I then put my 2 smaller squares on my photopolymer grip mat and blended on some Catherine Pooler frosted ink. This is a very pale blue violet, I think, from the Spa collection, which are more muted tones. The Party collection are the brighter inks, the Spa collection are the more muted inks. On the larger square I blended on some Serene ink, which is a slightly more intense blue violet colour, again from the Spa collection. I felt Spa inks would work better on a sympathy card than Party inks. I could have inked the card before die cutting, but I find sometimes when you ink after die cutting you get some interesting effects where the bristles of the brush kind of catch around the edges and in the stitching to give a bit more of an intense colour in those areas. Next I took that small portion of stitched rectangle panel and I stamped on some scripty writing in Versamark sticky embossing ink. The stamp wasn't quite wide enough to stretch across the whole panel, so I stamped 1/2 and then I stamped the other half because I knew if I'm misaligned slightly, the big square in the middle would cover up that misalignment. And you'll see what I mean when I come to put the card together. For embossing powder I used superfine silver because I felt the silver would go nicely with the muted blue violets and give a more sombre vibe than celebratory vibe, the kind of vibe you might get with gold. So I sprinkled that on, heated it with my heat tool, and then I added some matte gel medium to the back and stuck it on a stitched rectangle panel. I chose to use matte gel medium because it's slower drying than my high tack glue and it's less grippy than my high tack glue, which meant I had a little bit of wiggle time and wiggle room to get that panel lined up exactly where I wanted it before it stuck itself down properly. Once it was stuck down properly, I took the larger square, popped a little bit of craft foam on the back and put it in the middle of my text panel. I then tucked the 2 smaller pieces underneath. I didn't put any foam under those. I wanted there to be a bit of difference in height. And then I took the flower that I die cut, pressed it into my embossing ink pad, covered it in silver and then heated it with my heat tool to create a lovely silver floral embellishment. I then dipped that in high tack glue and stuck that to the left hand side of that large square. For my sentiment I used Pebble Catherine Pooler ink, which is a nice warm grey, and I stamped with Sympathy. I think the stamp came from Clearly Besotted. I die cut that out with a stitched rectangle die and then put it to the right hand side of my card, overlapping the large square. I did have to put a little bit of foam tape beneath it so that the bit that was hanging off didn't go all floppy and flappy. And there you have it, one with Sympathy card made with some very simple dies and stamps. I do hope you've enjoyed the video and that it's given you some ideas of things you can do with your own supplies. If it has, please leave a thumbs up, let me know in the comments. Subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for day 24 of Die Cut December 2024. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.